My name is Kevin Ray, and I play bass in a band called Walk the Moon. I feel like I'm still just hacking away at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Earthquaker stuff. The first Earthquaker on the board is the Hoof Reaper. I like the hoof fuzz. It's really intense, and it cuts like crazy. So there's a song we have called Kamikaze, where at the beginning I do a little kind of whoppy swell with the Mogerfoger low pass. And I've got the Hoof Reaper on top, and it just cuts like crazy. The hoof goes on top of the Brimstone audio crossover distortion. So signal chain wise, it's hoof first into the crossover, and then it runs through the Moog, and I've got this little expression pedal. And then later on in the song, I bring in my four-wheeler fuzz, the JHS four-wheeler. But even in that Kamikaze song, that four-wheeler comes in later instead of the hoof to give that sort of the opposite texture, to get out of the way of everything, still have some massive low end and some shiny fuzz, and that kind of sounds like. The only other one I have on here right now is the Afterneath. I use it in a song called All I Want. We kind of have this extended solo jam section live, and the aim is to just kind of create a lot of atmosphere, and that's great for the Afterneath. And what's nice is you can give it that initial sound and then kind of pepper in stuff on top. For instance, I'll fire up the Julia, really great chorus pedal from Walrus, do a little crossover distortion, and then it all ends up in my carbon copy delay. But you can get cool stuff. Just like waiting on the precipice for the next moment. It's a great way to transition in and out of sections, out of a song, because you can just kind of keep a sound going or whatever, and then kind of suck all the sound out of the room and go back to your dry. Guitar-y stuff. Just anything I can do to play over top of our guitar player at any time. And of course, like, we all love the Afterneath because it's got that drag. And who doesn't love that? You know? Signal chain wise, we're going into the Strymon OB1 first. And it's just such a good, like, flat compressor. And that goes right into this SYB5, the Boss synth pedal. And I swear, it's the best, like, $125 you'll ever spend as a bass player. The bass synth is before the crossover, so that I like to color that really clean sine wave synth with the distortion. This is an effect I use on a song called Can't Sleep off the new record. I was a guitar player. I went to school for classical guitar, and I always assumed I'd be a guitar player, and then out of necessity picked up a bass, which I think there's a good amount of bass players that have a similar path. And at that time, I was sort of a purist, like, just a bass into an amp, a nice round tone, something to just hold down the low end and kind of get out of the way. Started buying gear and exploring what pedals could do for a bass, getting a compressor and getting that little synth pedal and stuff. For instance, the crossover distortion, we did every bit of overdriven bass on the record with that crossover distortion. I mean, there's a pedal that you look at it, it's kind of intimidating. It's got 11 knobs on it. Early on, I would have looked at that and been like, what's the point? It's just a bass. And of course now, like, most of my pedals have a lot of knobs, and I'm not scared of them.